What's up, everybody? It's Eric Debonair, Donnell, co-owner operator 2 Geeks and Nerds Productions, along with my partner in crime,
Black Samurai 001, also co-owner and operator of 2 Geeks and a Nerd Productions.
Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to all of our social media platforms on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and you could have caught us on Twitter or whatnot. But if you can't reach us in one of those social media platforms, you can always email us at the number 2 geeksandnerdpro@gmail.com. So today, or this episode, we are going to talk about how we were raised as children versus how people are raised now. Now, I'm an 80s baby. You a 70s baby. You were a late 70s baby, right?
Well, I was born in 74, but I think it's considered more of, I'll probably be considered more.
Oh, you a 70s? No, you a 70s baby, though. You born in the 70s, you a 70s baby.
Okay.
That's how I do about the 10 years. Like, I'm not about to let no 90s baby claim the 80s, period. I don't care if you was born in 89 and a half, you a 90s baby. We round up.
I feel more like an 80s baby, though. But
Yeah. I can see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because my older brother is 70s baby. I think he was 76, I think.
Okay.
77 or something. We was all talking about it the other day because I thought my cousins were a lot older than me and they really only like a couple years older than me. But anyway, we talking about how we was raised. So, older generation raised us or whatever, you know. So, we were raised to survive.
Yeah.
Like, we really were. And me and him, we talk about this all the time, like how our moms was, and they was hard asses and bad asses. Mm-hmm. And like, yo, why was they this way, that way? Because, excuse me, my grandparents raised me now. My grandmother wasn't too soft or too hard. She was just like, she raised me right. My granddaddy was like a manly man. Like, I was almost scared to talk to him.
That macho,
but I looked up to him though. Yeah. Like,
I got to be a macho man.
like he made me. He was like a combination of John Henry and because he was like this working man with these big hands, and he always working on a car or a lawnmower or a tractor or something, or doing some outdoorsy or going hunting. My grandma was like had flower gardens, cooking, cleaning. She liked to fish or whatever. Liked to talk on the phone and gossip a little bit, with her friends at night, that type of stuff. Mm-hmm. But granddaddy worked. He worked and paid all the bills. Both my grandfathers, they worked. My other grandpa was a little bit more laid back because, he drank beer. So he worked all day, and then he get off work, he drinking beer the rest of the night. Mm. He chilling, he drinking. This is every day.
Well, no, my father did the same thing. He did vodka and orange juice.
Yeah.
He'd get home, sit up in that chair with his feet up, and drink his vodka and orange juice, get through it. Never was a drunk. Now, some people would probably say, just to do a moment of random, they feel like you got to be sloppy and irresponsible to be an alcoholic, but you can still...
You can be an alcoholic and not be a drunk.
Yeah.
Because you can handle your alcohol.
And he was that type. He knew how to handle his alcohol. He never would drink and drive. Never drink outside the house. If he was outside the house, you never ordered alcohol when he would go out. Drink at home.
Shit, not my daddy. My daddy drank anywhere. Driving. He did not care. I'm telling you. Which is why he drives a moped now. Versus, to the point, and he don't even drink anymore. He was like, I don't even want my license again. I'm like, dang, you had your license taken so many times that you was just like, you know what? I'll just drive a moped. I'm fine with a moped. And my daddy ain't drank in years. I've been married. He ain't drank. I feel like he almost ain't drinking like at least 15, maybe 20 years, dude. Mm-hmm. Like drink. Like I think he might have took like a shot with us when my grandpa died, when his dad died, maybe. Mm-hmm. But he don't drink. He don't smoke.
But from that generation, from what I hear, that was very common to come home. And I'm sure the moms was doing it too.
But, my mama was getting down with my daddy.
But the dads...
40 for 40.
When I talked to a lot of other folk, whether it was family or friends or whatever, co-worker, they would talk about their fathers, and not just the black daddies. I know we black or melanated,
No, all the dads was drinking. My daddy had white friends. Like we grew up in the Schlitz malt liquor era. We talking about the Mad Dog 2020 Wild Irish Rose. And even when I started drinking, as I got older, I was drinking, you know what I'm saying, Old English and Mad Dog. I would give me a liter, the big tall bottle of Wild Irish, and I drink that by myself. I put that thing in the freezer. This is in college. You know what I'm saying? I drank that thing. It was a wine, you know what I'm saying, or whatever. And then we drink Incredible Hulk. But, you know, trying to get off the drinking thing, because, you know, we could probably talk about drinking all day long, you know. But I was drinking moonshine since I was a kid, too. But anyway.
Because he's a country boy.
I'm a country boy. So
he's a country.
So back to how we was raised. I was raised by my grandparents. You know, we had hogs at my great grandma's house and stuff like that. They had chickens. We had gardens and stuff. We tractors. We farmed. My family were, you know, sharecroppers. They grew tobacco and stuff. So I was raised like to be a gentleman, but also not take nothing off of nobody. You know what I'm saying? Be a stand-up guy. I was raised by church-going folks or whatnot that didn't cuss. Like if you hear them say S or D, then it ain't even a bad word compared to my mama and them. My mama and them was, like I said, they drank. You know, they worked at the mattress factory, they drank, and they fuss or whatever. Like they was, you know, that was their lifestyle.
Mine didn't drink, but fussing and cussing, yeah, she did.
And so and my mama and them 60s. Yeah, they 60s babies, right? My folks.
Lady Cabell is going on. It'll be a year come August 22nd.
Yep.
She made it to 85. Father made it to 55. So he been gone past 2000 and I think it was in 2000. It wasn't one, I think it was 2000. So, but yeah, the whole kind of compared, or I can talk about him. Y'all know I've talked about his parenting before. But what I would have liked is better communication. Because it was pretty much a lot of times was, do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that, don't question me, because I said so. Mm-hmm. You know, it wasn't a lot of even just communicating. Father really never said I loved you. I noticed Mom would say it, but she started saying it more when she got older. But when I was younger, unless she was going on a trip or going away or something, she wouldn't say I love you. So, so I know a lot of y'all thinks, and this is not to badmouth my mom, feel like mamas are nurturing and stuff, but there, you know, mine, she probably was hard, and from what I heard and got from other relatives, her upbringing is who raised her.
I don't really remember my mama telling, even though my grandparents raised me, I don't really remember my mama telling me she loved me like that. But my daddy, even when they were separated, my daddy he's soft. You know what I'm saying? And he was just like a bodybuilder, karate, championship wrestler, all that. Like, I thought he was going to go to the WWF or something. Like, he loved wrestling so much. Mm-hmm. But he would always, like, so a whooping from my daddy, he like, don't make me spank you. He popped us one time, like, now go sit down. And we was like, you know, like, let me just go ahead. Because he didn't want, I think maybe because of the way his daddy was on him, mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying, maybe why he wasn't hard on us. But my mama, oh, she gonna kill you. Like, my mama talking about, I'm gonna you up. Yeah, I mean, if you see this mama, you know I'm telling the truth.
She wasn't the only one, because mine was like that. I had other cousins and stuff. Their mamas would, and I don't know, is it because, you know, they were women and they felt like they had to be harder on boys.
On the boys, yeah.
But they would be trying to go in on whoopings when it came to the boy.
We didn't get whoopings. I'm gonna beat you. You know, we got beatings. It wasn't even no whooping. Like, we got beat.
Yeah, and this is, again,
but it didn't take a lot of them. I didn't get a whole lot of whoopings because I knew what not to do.
Yeah, well, I got a lot of, after a while, those stopped. But the major issue was probably the verbal abuse. Mm-hmm. I got a lot from both parents, unfortunately. I got a lot of verbal abuse. And just even people outside, I don't know. And I know some people feel like, you know, jealousy is more of a overused word some of the times, but it's just sometimes you can't explain what it is, because it's like, I ain't doing nothing to you. So even outside of parents, school, when I would draw, and I talked about this in another interview, when he interviewed me, people would try to compete, like they was taking my title. You know, I always had people try to compete, try to put me down, you know, and then I got it at home and I got it at school. And sometimes I even think about, you know, how I didn't unalive myself, because, again, I just wanted to be left alone and feeling so broken. You know, you know, I don't know how sometimes I just didn't. It made me weak being broken, and it goes back to the analogy of animals.
Oh yeah, breaking the spirit.
When the animals also too. When you see like those packs, like the wildebeest, if you ever watch those shows, and they going across the plain, the animals knows which ones to get. They don't go for the center.
They go for the weak ones.
The end or on the outside.
Yeah.
The ones that were on the inside got a high, and in the middle got a higher chance of making it than the ones on, sometimes even the front. But the ones definitely on the end or the outside, like I remember many times watching that, and they cross that river, and them alligators be creeping, and they just harsh.
They gonna get that last one or two.
They always get the same thing with the lions. The lions be creeping. They see that one on the edge, and they get it, or the one on the outside, and they get it. They don't fight through the ones to get to the one in the middle.
No.
They get to the easiest prey.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, us growing up, like, or speaking of me, because even we have similar backgrounds. You know, 10 years difference. He was down here, and I was up north. And a lot of us, even as kids, would say the same thing. Be talked to by it. If you talk to a lot of people in our age ranges, they'll feel like adults were like their enemy.
Yeah, because like I didn't get a lot of encouragement. I always go back to like me wanting to be a singer and stuff in the past, and my mom would talk about my voice, and it discouraged me. Versus I was in chorus, like I was, you know, all county, you know, chorus competition. Shit, I had to audition for and made it. But yet my own mother, who didn't raise me, would be like, "Oh, you got that whiny voice or whatever." But apparently my voice was good enough to be one of the best in the county to sing, definitely one of the best in my school.
Yeah.
And so it was never like this whole like, oh yeah, it's great, that's a great picture, you know. So that's what we're talking about, how we was raised versus like how I raised my kids or whatever. I don't care if I think it's ugly. I'm gonna tell them it's the most beautiful frog or whatever it is to encourage them, to get them to, you know what I'm saying, be better.
And
like he was talking about communication too. I communicate with my kids.
Because before some of you try to clap at him for that, he said, I need y'all to listen. Encourage, not baby, because I know some of y'all because some of y'all will be like, oh, he baby him, he don't want them to experience nothing hard. No, there's a difference between babying and encouraging.
Yeah.
And even sometimes as a parent, and we've talked about the cycles and the curses and the whole bit, and I still personally believe, and I'm always going to stick to this story, that because it wasn't done for them, they didn't want to do it. And I just don't see that with parenting. I see that just how adults move, period.
Because, I mean, it's like what we talked about earlier with my work situation. Like, I could just be a butthole and be like, well, like I was saying, well, this wasn't done for me, so you got to figure out, but it's my dog, so I'm going to look out to an extent.
I'm on through that now.
Yeah.
And you know who tried.
Yeah.
It's funny how, and you know something, y'all people in these streets be funny for another moment of random. The way y'all move, y'all think you not ever going to need that person to help you. And it always, I'm 50 years old, y'all, and I'm going to tell y'all this for real. Those people you treating that way, that time will come.
It will come.
That you're going to need them to help you. Even if it's one time, one thing, you still, now you heard this, you might try to fight me on and be like, nah, Black Samurai, I ain't, because you said, but even with you saying that, you still denying the truth, which is you know you need to go to that person for help. But now that I said it, you want to act like you're not going to do it. And this again, and let me also say this too, another thing I can't say.
Which is another reason why I'm nice to my kids, because I might need somebody to wipe my butt one day.
But the major thing I also want to say this too. Don't come up under these comments talking about y'all whining. Again, I'll say this before and I'll say this again. Y'all people who say that, y'all are in bondage and you want to keep or put other people in bondage. You is mad that somebody is sharing their story, getting over their trials and tribulations, and you just want to sit, you complain, whine, and cry, and you're not doing anything, as we always say, putting in the work.
And all we doing is keeping it real. Like I said, like I'm glad I was raised tough. The way cause like I can deal with stuff that some people can't deal with. Like when we were in college, there were people jumping out of the library building. Yeah, out of the library.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
Cause they got a C on a test.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So those people to me were, you know, I don't want to say they were. I don't want to even say what I think they were or whatever, cause it's just my opinion. But they weren't raised as tough, or maybe their parents pressured them too much. Who knows? Maybe their parents said, "Hey, you're nothing because you don't have straight A's." I've seen families do that too. With me, I keep it real with my daughter. I'm like, you know, like she had, for instance, she had straight A's last quarter. This quarter she had 2 A's and a B. She missed the straight A's again by like 4 or 5 points. And I was like, you know, good grades, but you could have did better. And you know, this is where you need to focus at. This is what you need to do, or whatever. And I explain to her, I'm not saying you didn't do a good job. You did a great job, but I know that you could get straight A's again. So guess what we do in fourth quarter? She's gonna get straight A's fourth quarter because I believe in her.
But I got a question about that. Did she get back on the phone, or was more on the tablet when she got that B?
No, because like since I've taken the phone, or the phone got broke and I haven't fixed it or whatever, she's don't even ask about it.
But
She said.
But was her focus? Okay, so
no, because like I do a good balance. I'm not one of those parents, but oh yeah, just go get on your phone. No, if I notice her on the phone or a tablet for a while, I'm like, hey, time to get off. Zuri has limits on her tablet. The other day she tried to get and say, hey, you want to do this, do that. Melanie's like, oh yeah, you reached your daily limit. Cause I can turn that stuff off from my phone right now, if I wanted to. But with my older one, I try to let her be more responsible, give her responsibility. So like, for instance, when the phone screen broke for the phone that I had for her, she even said, Dad, I'm kind of glad my phone doesn't work right now. I said, why? She said, because now I'm reading more or whatever. She's like her mom, loves to read. My wife used to read books all the time, like romance novels and stuff. Melanie the same way, loves to read. And so she was captain of her reading thing they just did last week or whatever. She got an award for doing that, for being the captain for her reading team or whatever. They had a reading rumble or whatever. So for me to have her say, hey, I'm glad that I'm not on the phone, because she noticed it. But there's certain aspects of me as a parent, I'm so confident in her, I don't even really go over her homework with her anymore, because like she's that good. But just because your child is great at doing something doesn't mean you shouldn't follow up with them. And so again, I hold myself as responsible as a parent for her somewhat decline in her grades, but also you got to understand that every child doesn't learn the same. And so where math is her strong suit, English and language arts isn't her strongest suit. And that's okay. She still got a B. It's not like she's failing it, you know what I'm saying, but it's just not her strongest point. She does numbers, and that's okay.
This will bring up too, at least how I can say I was raised and remember going to school and what you talking about. It was very quickly said that, oh, you can't, they would do 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 kids for the honor roll, and they talking about all y'all could, if you just really apply yourselves, y'all could really make the honor roll. But when they weren't saying that, it was coming across too as y'all saying we lazy and we just don't want to make.
But it's the parents. At the end of the day, it's on the parents.
There are some that are lazy. But some like me, I don't test well.
And did they sit? And the thing is, like, they should have differentiated, and they know. So, like, versus a paper test, you probably could have did better at a hands-on test or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. Like, they really need to have. It needs to be more than one way versus a standard. But we know where we live. You know what I'm saying? The country we live in, want stuff to be standardized so they can weed people and put people to keep the system going the way it's going. Which is why I think a lot of why our parents were the way some of them were, because they were brainwashed, versus like me and people like me, like, you know, like I said, I communicate now. I'll say, you know, well, because I'm your dad and I believe I know what's best for you, and because I said so. But he'll tell you, I'll actually break down why, to the point that my oldest now don't want me to, she'll just accept it because she don't want to listen to me go on this rant as to why, because I'm going to break down the whole scientific side of it or whatever. Mm-hmm. You know,
and she'll appreciate it when she gets
older.
But again, you know, there was a lack of communication. Like he said, some might call it tough, some might call it abuse, you know, some whatever might call it. For me, I felt it was more like a breaking, because again, I always say you can't raise kings and queens, but you're not giving them king and queen tools. You do, like it or not, encouragement, and that's the thing too, I think sometimes too, from the generation that raised us. Some of those things were seen as it's going to make you weak. Or if I encourage you, it's actually going to make you weak. But if I break you down, that's going to make you stronger, which all you're doing is breaking something into smaller pieces.
So what I would like to coin that as, what he's saying is, parents, you have committed parental lynching. Literally what he just said is the same thing that Willie Lynch did to slaves. He broke their spirits. He broke the man's spirit in front of the wife and the children, so they wouldn't even try to do anything. Because if the father, the leader, couldn't help, then they were helpless. So he lynched them. That's what lynching was. It was a process to break a person's spirit down to where they felt like nothing. And a lot of parents are committing parental lynching and not even realizing it. Or maybe some of y'all realize it and you just don't care. So I like the balance of the tough love, of where, yes, I'm tough on my children, but I love them and hug them daily. I tell them every day that I love them. I can just look at them just like, I love you. And they're like, I love you too, man.
Okay, so since you're a parent, let me ask you this question then. If someone says to you they did the best they could because there's no handbook.
You can always do better.
But there's no handbook on being a parent.
So this is what I think parents need to do. Parents need to take self-evaluation. I do this. I do self-reflections. And I think it's the first I ever talked about it. But I'll look at a situation and be like, dang, how could I handle that better? And a lot of this come from me trying to figure out how I could have handled stuff better in my marriage or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So this next go around, things will go, you know, the way they should go. Again, a lot of it is communicating and wanting to understand even when you don't understand. Ask questions. I ask, if they too quiet to them, like, you okay? Is everything all right? Well, you know you can talk to me about stuff. I didn't get that from my mom. My mom never even, you know, asked me, was I okay? She didn't. One, because she didn't raise me.
I know.
Two, because even, you know, now my grandmother, I could be on the phone with my grandmother before she passed. And she'd be like, what's wrong? I can hear it in your voice. Because she raised me. You know, it's a connection that was created.
And where it would come from, at least my mother, because I was more around my mother, more raised. Well, I would say provided for. And again, this is nothing against her, but I was more provided. And that's another thing, too. Raising and providing are two different things. And I'm speaking this off experience because, like what you just said, if I would tell her when I was going to do through depression or feeling down or something, she would say, you shouldn't feel down. You don't have a reason because you have all this that
versus asking, why are you so sad? We give you food, shelter, clothes. You got the toys. What is making you sad? But I do this with my kids. They got more than I had. I feel
she
like
didn't answer what you said. She did up into the questioning. She felt because I had things.
You should have been happy.
Yes.
And that was a red flag to say he's got everything he needs and most of what he wants. Why? What is bothering him? There's got to be something, and it's always something simple. And it's as simple as I love you. How do you feel? Come give me a hug. my hugs not only just for my kids, it's for me. Like, it make me feel good. I need somebody to hug, you know? You know, they think that I'm just hugging, like, especially the little one, they're Melody now lately. Like, wants a hug all the time. I'm like, geez, it's getting kind of, like, aggravating. But I do it because that's my baby. That's my first. It's the one who made me. And so, like I said, it's the difference between being a mom or a dad or a mother and a father. Anybody can father or mother a child, which just means that you help create life. But being a mom and a dad means that you're actually there. You're parenting. You're nurturing. You're guiding. You're caring. You know what I'm saying? You're there. It's a huge difference.
And again, none of that is that's some old school BS.
Especially when you got the choice. If you choose not to be there, that's on you. Don't, you know.
Yeah, again, this ain't coddling, because he's still, from what I see, and I'm around him and the girls a lot. I've seen both these girls, one is 9, the other is 4, brought home from the hospital to the ages, one about to be 5. And I will say, and this is not because he's sitting next to me, y'all, I am watching this man raise, and he's not babying, even though they're his daughters. He is raising. He is taking the time to communicate, which I think is a huge thing, because that's what everybody says in any relationship. All the gurus say
communication is the key to any relationship.
And
he and I, as business partners, we communicate. And over the years, the more we communicate, because he knows how I am, I pretty much know how he is. So he knows, like, how to deal with me or whatever, vice versa. I know how to say stuff, but it's because we've had conversations and weren't afraid of, you know, hurting each other's feelings or letting it be known, hey, I'm not saying this to be mean. I'm saying this because, like, I'm not going to deal with this, and, you know, I care about you, you care about me, or whatever. Any relationship is like that if you choose to communicate. Now, if you don't, like, especially like with your kids, this is why kids end up resenting their parents, or, you know, I know, like I was saying about my cousins, you know, and their parents, like, for like the last 10, 15 years, they've been mad at each other. And it took for the mom and the wife to die for them to be like, you know what, we can't keep doing this. Life is too short. Why does it take for something so tragic to happen for people to come to their senses? Yep. And all that is a pride thing. Put your pride to the side. All you got to do is have an open heart and open ears to listen and to try to understand. And to not yell and to have an actual conversation. That's what proper communication is. There's a proper way and an improper way to communicate. And yelling and thinking that you know it all, at least hear the person out. That's it.
And trying to win and trying to talk over the person and throw it back in their face. See, I was right. I was right that you was wrong.
Yeah.
So that is the key again. And I think that's the major part between, at least that I definitely see in you, and at least I can compare it to my growing up, even though I don't have children. That's something I would have liked. I would have liked, number one, more encouragement and more actual communication, and I never got it. I never got it from neither of them. It's just who they weren't, and it was both of them. It was the mother and the father, and my sister would say the same thing too. So this ain't like, oh, you know, because sometimes they'll be like, oh, you know, the son is whining. See, y'all will call the sons, when we talk about this stuff, whiners, but when the girls, and this is another thing
she has a story to tell.
And this is another thing about our society, trying to break men down mentally, spiritually, which can lead to physically.
Men are people too, y'all. Somebody just, Destiny just sent me something that I had already saw. It was talking about men and the unaliving of their cells rate. And the percentage of it,
high.
You know, it's very high.
Very high.
And it's because we have a lot of pressure on us. Like, we are expected to fulfill. Society wants us to be manly man, but they also want us to be open and comforting and soft and understanding.
Until you
do that, and then when you do it, now, oh, you a punk, you soft, you this, you that. Because women always want you to open up. And I'll say this, once I open up to the one that I really love, I felt like she was attacking me. You know what I'm saying, or whatnot. Now, she'll swear, no, that ain't what I'm doing. I'm like, no, I remember you said this, that, and the other, and it's like you're attacking my manhood when all I did was do what a man was supposed to do. I provided and love you or whatever, you know.
But that's what they say, how you can get away. Like, for example, like some of y'all been on this tangent of if a man talks back or argues with a woman,
he's sassy.
Sassy.
Don't call me sassy.
Or
I'm gonna show you sassy.
Or he don't just know. Oh, he's so disrespectful. Oh, the way he talk. Oh, girl, you need to leave him.
Listen,
just
woman,
off an argument.
If you're not my mother or my grandmother or any of my other elders that I'm supposed to respect in a certain manner, when I can be doing even that, I don't even let my mama disrespect me now. I'm grown, so. If I feel like my mom getting out of line, I'll respectfully shut her down and be like, no, we're not going to do that because
she ain't like it.
Because I'm a grown man, you know what I'm saying? And I'm a real grown man. Like, I take care of my own. I got 2 little girls. I do their hair and all that. So if a female comes to me, especially if you're my age or younger, and you don't like to hear what I got to say, we don't need to have a conversation. Because I'll sure walk off from you and not, in order to not disrespect you. Do not call me sassy or nothing. Because that's some country stuff. They say, nah, my great grandma say, don't be sassing. Sassing is talking back.
I remember that.
You know what I'm saying? Don't be sassing me. That's talking back. Baby, I ain't sassing you. You know what I'm saying? Or whatnot.
Well, you know what what Black Samurai always say. Just say the truth. The truth is, you feel certain ones of y'all, not all y'all, we gonna make this clear. When it comes to certain ones of you females, y'all feel y'all can talk to a man any old kind of way and that he's supposed to just take it. And y'all need to be honest. It ain't got nothing to do with sassy. It ain't got nothing to do with making you feel uncomfortable. Because I've seen women just recently on just a clip to a reality show. The dude walked off. She talked about she feeling uncomfortable. Well, he said, I walked away to diffuse the situation. They wasn't arguing or fussing, but she kept trying to use that, I'm uncomfortable.
So he removed himself from the situation.
And she still was talking about she was uncomfortable.
Yeah, see, and that's what I'm saying. It's like,
and y'all,
sorry to cut you off, but men back in the day wouldn't even do that. They would call you out. They wouldn't call you out your name, or they would resort to violence by putting their hands on you because that's the way things were done back then.
And a lot of our generation, from the stories I've heard, and we are not justifying this at all, but there was a lot of that, especially the generation before. A lot of that going on where grandma or great-grandma would go ahead and put on some makeup and act like nothing, go on to church and act like nothing ain't happening.
And everybody knew, but it was just an accepted part of society. And we don't condone violence in any form, especially against women, old folks, or children. We don't. I don't hit women. I haven't.
This is something crazy. My cousin just told me a little off the subject. He said he told his stepdaughter he raised as his own though. He said if she in a situation or someone following her or something like that, scream fire, because he said it's been proven that if a woman screams fire, it'll get more attention than a woman screaming the R word.
Yeah.
This is
because fire is like, everybody like, what's burning?
Yeah.
Versus the other stuff is kind of like, you know.
Yeah, so this is just how we talking about how that general.
But that's a psychological thing, too, I think, that people have been programmed, like elementary school. I always go through the little fire thing, you know. Back in the day, anyway, they had the thing set up. They had a light on the other side door. You put your hand in the back of the door, and you scream fire, and you go out the little fake window. That's how they did us in elementary school. So it's a universal thing, which the other stuff should be, but it was in certain societies is illegal. It still is legal in some places in the world for a man to have his way with his wife or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The woman is always looked down upon. Now, some countries, you commit those acts, and they're gonna cut your stuff off.
Chop.
Which I think America ought to start doing. America should have been like that. If America had imposed law, I know we're talking about tough kids, and, you know, but if America had laws that some of these other places had, we wouldn't have these many prisons. But then that means we wouldn't have a lot of free labor either. So, you know, again, that's how society is. But point blank, period. We received a lot of tough love. I'm glad we were raised the way we were. I was a lot softer on my children. I'm starting to tighten up a little bit more on them because I love them so much. So I'm getting a little bit tougher on my kids. A lot of the kids in the 90s were, with the babies raising babies or whatever. So they have what we call the baby boy syndrome, like Jody, to where the mama is raising the sons or the daughters to be their friends versus being their parents. Mm-hmm. So that right there is a whole nother story or whatever. I don't agree with that. I tell my daughters, I am your father and your daddy first, and then I'm your friend that you can come to. But I'm your daddy before anything. Your father and your daddy before anything. But I will be friendly enough to have a conversation with you, this and the other. So I think that's where a lot of the things now with the teenagers and stuff just doing all this wild stuff.
Well, that is because technology just raising them.
Yeah. So that ain't the babies raising babies, it's the TV raising the babies. Mm-hmm. That's all we have to say about that. Remember to hit us up on the email at the number 2 geeksandnerdpro@gmail.com for any questions, concerns, and comments. And hit that like and follow button. Just go ahead and give us some likes and follows, as we really appreciate it, on all of our social media platforms. But until next time, stay hungry, and we're the geeks, you are the nerds, but we all the nerdiest. Peace.